Censorship is coming for Japan. And for once, it's not payment processors. Nope, it's not the West. Nope, it's not Visa or MasterCard. It's their own damn government. Yes, Article 175 has reared its ugly little head, the penal code in Japan that I think whenever you have people talk about censorship in Japan, this is something that comes up every now and then. Somebody kind of brings this up and says, this needs to be gotten rid of. Yes, whenever you see like light bars or those little black censor bars that are oddly placed on things, or just mosaics in general, if you see those in some sort of anime or manga or something or art in general, that's this penal code. And the problem that's been with this penal code for so long is how vague it's worded. It's so vaguely worded, and it seems like it's very unevenly enforced. And we're kind of seeing that right now, specifically with Fantia. Fantia has recently updated its guidelines, and it's included essentially this rule, this law itself. And it seems like they're now enforcing it even more strict than before, which is bringing up the question mark of why does this exist? And yes, if this exists and if they're going to start enforcing it, what's that going to mean for the future of literally anything creative in Japan, whether it's live action or drawn or whatever? This is something that's going to have drastic effects across the board, which really makes me kind of wonder. I've been making so many positive videos lately about how Japan's all about like freedom of expression and, you know, anybody from the outside, Kimi Onara, she's like, literally, shut up, this is Japan. Where is that whole thing? Japan government, wake up, wake up. But anyways, let's get into the actual news here. I had this brought to my attention by Zenko, and Zenko had brought up the fact that, yes, to my overseas friends, a problem is occurring that will have significant impact on Japanese content creators. The issue of censoring sexual content and the problem of Article 175 of the Penal Code are unique to Japan, but I would appreciate it if you could share this widely. He goes on to say, and this is going to be a long stretch here, so I'm going to pop back over here so you can see something pretty. He goes on to say, last night, Fantia announced the revision to the guidelines regarding censorship mosaic standards, which is causing major shockwaves amongst Japanese creators. Yeah, and I've noticed that. I've seen so many people's creation pages on Fantia that they've posted where literally like 90, probably 95% of their stuff is gone. They're just wiping it off. They're not even messing with this. Like what this guideline update is, they're like, I don't even want to mess with this. I'm backing out right now. In light of the fact that relevant authorities have issued extreme strict legal guidances and warnings regarding the standard of censorship mosaic processing in certain content, the platform will tighten its standards. Key point here, they're talking about relevant authorities and whatnot that are issuing strict legal guidance towards them. They're strengthening this guideline because somebody's contacting them. Authorities are contacting them and saying, you need to shape things up. Furthermore, the new standards will take an effect starting May 25th and will also apply retroactively to past posted works. This is the other thing that's scaring a lot of people. They're changing things for the past. And if more platforms start doing this and the authorities that are going to different groups start enforcing that elsewhere, other platforms are going to have to do this as well. This is crazy. If content does not meet the standards, measures may include request to revise the content, immediate privating and unpublishing, or deletion of the content, suspension or closure of fan clubs if improvements are not seen, disclosure of log information and reporting to police. Disclosure of log information and reporting to the police or other relevant authorities if serious legal violations are suspected. Again, this is a change. There was already the application of this obscenity law on the content on the site. People had the black bars, they had the mosaics, whatever. Now they're making it more and more restricted. This right here is no longer allowed. They want it more strict. These are extremely urgent and severe measures. In fact, on May 15th, Fantia has already issued notice titled Important Reconfirmation and Compliance Requests Regarding Censorship Mosaic Standards. In it, they mention that if content is judged to violate Article 175 of the Penal Code, distribution, display of obscene materials, it may become subject to police investigation and carry serious legal risks, including arrest and punishment. Again, this is Fantia themselves saying you're going to go to jail. You're going to see fines. You're going to get... This is crazy. The fact that within just a few days, the situation escalated from a mere request for compliance to actual guideline revision suggests that something urgent and significant is happening behind the scenes. That's the question mark there. Now, I will say this, and take this with a grain of salt. I will say I have seen a lot of comments made about the situation, and I have seen some people suggesting that this is other industries essentially trying to use their power with the government and the authorities to strong arm other groups like Fantia. So this again goes back to what I was talking about at the very beginning. This is an aspect of like an unequal distribution and use of this law itself. Because the law itself, which if I remember correctly, the actual wording of it is a person who distributes or displays in public obscene objects such as documents, drawings, and recorded media is punished by imprisonment for not more than 2 years and a fine of no more than 2.5 million yen. The idea here is because it's so vague, that's where the problem lies. This is, again, goes back to all of our discussions about a lot of these laws that are popping up in the United States regarding this stuff. It's the problem always lies in how just very vague it is. All that's saying is obscene objects. That's all it says. That's the description. Obscene objects. What is an obscene object? An obscene object, as they've sort of been enforcing so far, has been the idea of simply showing genitalia. That's been pretty much all it's been. Like, if you ever look at something that is adult related in Japan, the only thing they ever really cover up, when it's not public view, when it's not like on, primetime television, I mean, they do cover up a lot of other stuff during primetime television or depending on where it's being distributed. But when it comes to like the most uncensored you get in Japan, they still cover up the genitalia. And it's typically through mosaics. Sometimes it's through like black bars across the screen or whatever, light bars, God rays, that kind of stuff. It's never really defined what exactly it is. And so the problem they're having now is that there's now groups coming in and going, okay, now we're going to unequally enforce this. Now what you have on your site is not enough. Make it worse. And so Fantia is responding by saying, okay, make the blurring more. You can't do the bars no more because you can still see through the bars. That's the problem they're facing right now. And again, if this starts to get more spread across the industry, it's going to be horrible. Zenko continues saying, there is a huge number of creators using Fantia, as well as an enormous archive of past works. Yeah, I've seen some people post and they have thousands of works that they have to go through. So the impact is extremely widespread. The short deadline and severity of the measures are causing significant anxiety about the future. But if authorities are indeed aggressively pushing regulation and censorship based on Article 175 of the Penal Code, one has to ask, what social benefit is supposedly being achieved by this? Zenko, that's a damn good question. That's a damn good question. This is, again, kind of scary. This is something that we really haven't really faced before. Again, it's usually payment processors are like, saying we're going to take away your ability to make money, something like that. This is, again, authorities contacting the company and saying, change your crap. You have too much stuff being shown. And again, this is stuff that people are probably posting on multiple websites, not just Fantia. So what's the difference here? Why exactly are you changing how the censorship has to happen? This is somebody that posted about the fact that he got raided by the police and was charged for this stuff, and so he's had to completely change how they do their work. Zenko said Articles 175 of the Penal Code, even by accident, creators end up subject to house searches and branded with criminal record. It's utterly nonsensical that the police, who must have mountains of other things to do, are devoting this much effort to it. The notion that it stops at obscene once revised is also utterly baffling. I fully understand that this is not something simple, as it's been accepted as common sense from most Japanese people since birth. But we will tackle the revision of Article 175 of the Penal Code as a major theme. I think that's really what we're coming down to. What I'm kind of seeing with the conversation is that the idea of getting rid of it is just like not going to happen. I think they even had it up for vote before, and it's not going anywhere. I think what most people are kind of considering here is that it just needs to be revised. Like, it needs to be revised in a way that it makes more sense, that it's more defined, that you don't have to have this big like question mark. Yeah, if they could repeal it and get rid of it, that'd be great. If it's 18 plus, why is it even censored? If it has restrictions and walls and whatnot, if you are an adult, why does it have to be blocked? But as I was saying before, it's Japan. If this is their laws, that's their laws. Can't really say anything about it. But that would be my hope. You just get rid of it. But at least it needs to be more defined. That way, stuff like this doesn't happen, where it seems like it's being unequally, used against people. But that's the situation right now. Seemed like a lot of discussion happening about 175 and a potential of getting rid of it, or at least fighting it in some way, because if Fantia seemingly is the only group that's being affected by this currently, it begs the question about why Fantia is being attacked by it. Now, it could come down to, we'll find out later on, that it's actually somebody within the Fantia company is trying to censor their own company from within. It could be the payment processor saying, hey, just say it's 175 and censor your stuff, and then we'll give you your payment stuff back. Who knows? Something else can come of this whole situation. It just seems like, based on, again, what Zenko has said here, based on the articles that they actually have, their guideline updates, which I went over there and I checked, it's actually there. They're talking about specifically these adult laws, the actual article itself. That's what they're citing. That's what they're pointing to. Again, they could be lying, but I doubt it. This seems like a really dumb thing to really kind of blame for the whole situation. And again, this is something that's been talked about to death by a lot of people about censorship in Japan. Whenever you talk about freedom of speech in Japan, Article 175 comes up. The hope is here, really. Let's get back to it. The hope here really is that, and I've seen already on my feed, a lot of content creators, a lot of artists are really picking up on this. It's affecting a lot of people. Again, entire backlogs of art is being affected. And it's not just the fact that it's on Fantia. That doesn't matter. It's not the fact that it's specifically on this platform. The question mark that's going to come up into every single artist's mind right now, if it's happening to Fantia, when is it going to happen to Pixiv? When is it going to happen to this site? When is it going to happen to my site? When is it going to happen to me directly? When is somebody going to bust down my door and it's going to affect me? That's the major question mark happening right here, and I think it's going to hopefully create enough buzz that they'll go and address this. Again, if not repealing it completely and getting rid of it, at least revising it so that it makes sense. It makes some sort of sense, because otherwise, this is probably not going to end. But anyways, that's the news. Hope you guys found this video informative. If you did, hit the like button down below. Until next time, you'll take care.